Hi everybody and welcome to the first vlog of 2018, and I owed you this one. I said in one of my very last vlogs of last year that I was going to talk about The Last Jedi, and here it is. This is the episode in which we're going to get in depth on what I thought on The Last Jedi. So here we go. Alright, so let's talk about The Last Jedi, shall we? And hi. I was just about to have a conversation with the viewers about The Last Jedi. Do you think we could do that? Oh, okay. Well, I definitely agree with that. Do you want to do the honors for me? All right. R2's got a message that he wants to share with everybody. Go ahead, R2. All right, well, fair enough. So with that warning, let's head into the conversation, shall we? Let's talk about the things that I didn't like about the movie. Now, in my video leading up to the viewing, the night that I saw the movie, I mentioned that one of my biggest apprehensions was that the movie would be too similar to The Empire Strikes Back. And that is the thing that I did not like about it the most. In fact, the first time I saw the movie, it was really hard for me to get past all the similarities. In fact, let me illustrate here. You could see that the beginning of the movie is almost identical. The escape from Hoth versus the escape from their base. Now, that in The Last Jedi happens very quickly, and then there's a space battle, whereas in Empire, there's the whole land battle, and then they escape, but way too similar. Then you've got the the Han and Leia trying to escape by going into the asteroid field versus the First Order chasing them down and them escaping by trying to outrun their slower ship. A very similar concept there. Back to, jumping to they escape the asteroid field by going to Cloud City and Empire. And here in Last Jedi, they go to Crate and they escape there. Then, in Empire, there's a big event that happens that shakes all the characters to their core, and in Cloud City, and of course in the Crate, another big confrontation with a lot of revelatory information. And then of course the end is this sort of soul-searching, where do we go from here? At the end of Empire, it's just that image of Luke and Leia and the droids looking on, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Whereas The Last Jedi, there's that hopeful moment at the end. So very similar, almost entirely too similar structurally to each other, and that I did not like. Now, one of the things that I really liked about the movie was that things here in this movie seem to be all about failure and embracing failure and learning from it. One of my favorite moments had to deal with the fact that a plan that in any other Star Wars movie or in any other movie of this kind would have, of course, led to the victory over the bad guys, not only did not lead to victory, it led to almost near catastrophic failure for the Resistance. This almost wiped the Resistance out. And the characters learn from it and in a way overcome it, or at least come to grips with what happened. And it's fantastic to see a major motion picture here in 2017, beginning of 2018, really embrace the idea of failure and how we can learn just as much from failure as we can from all these wonderful successes that we've always seen in movies like this. Now, of course, since the movie's been released, there's been a lot of internet hate going around about the movie. People criticizing the characters, the directorial choices, just overall the story approach, which I find rather interesting. And of course, it seems rather narrow-minded to hate on a movie simply because you do not like what the movie did based on your preconceived ideas of what the movie needed to be. I say this as somebody that I needed to see the movie twice to really fully understand. I've seen the movie more than that, but I needed to at least see it twice. One, to see it, and twice to really let the movie work on me rather than just base my opinions on what I thought the movie should be. And I think a lot of the internet hate that the movie is getting is because people are just basing their ire on what they expected versus what they actually got. So let's talk about Rey's parents. One of the biggest focuses of this internet hate is on Rey and her lineage. And I'll be the first one to admit, I love the fact that she is nobody. That there is no reason that she should be admired in the galaxy because her parents are nobodies. And that's great. It allows her to be her own person without having to carry all this baggage around from whoever her parents would have been or whoever her parents the internet wanted them to be. They're nobodies. And still, she's able to hold her own right next to Kylo Ren, the heir of the Skywalker whatever. She's able to stand right next to him and be just as, if not more powerful than he is. So, Rey's parents, I don't care. So let's talk about Luke Skywalker. That's a very heavy subject, especially due to all of the conversations that have taken place on the internet about this topic, specifically around Mark Hamill and the comments he made regarding Rian Johnson's interpretation of the character. So let me quickly address that here and my thoughts on it. After seeing the movie again twice, it took me 2 viewings to really formulate my thoughts around it. And every viewing subsequent to that has been more and more enjoyable. But Luke Skywalker was this mythical figure. He's the quintessential hero. He has been since the movies came out in 1977. And here we are in 2017, 40 years later, and Luke Skywalker is a flawed hero, and we finally see him in a way that I actually could relate. As a child, I related to Luke Skywalker because he looked like the hero, and who doesn't want to be the hero? But I couldn't quite connect the way that I did with him now as an adult in this movie. Because here's a man who was given all of this power, and he wasn't really trained all that well. He has, maybe a day or 2 with Obi-Wan Kenobi, another day or 2 with Yoda, and then he's supposed to be this great Jedi that re-brings the Jedi Order back, or reintroduces the Jedi Order back into the galaxy, and he's not supposed to make mistakes. So I love the fact that he made mistakes, and that they were so grave, that they were so bad, that it costs him a part of himself, and he feels so bad about it that he literally disconnects himself from everything that makes him the legend that he is in the galaxy. And that's a very interesting character to me. And I was much more interested in what was happening with Luke in this movie as an adult than I ever was with Luke Skywalker as the budding Jedi that he is in the original trilogy. So I really appreciated that. Now, Mark
expressed concern because he also saw Luke as that quintessential archetypal hero. And that's not what Rian gave us. Rian gave us a real hero that has layers, that isn't perfect, that isn't this very well-formed, very black or white hero, but a hero that makes mistakes. And like Yoda says, he never learned from his mistakes. He never passed on the learnings that he got from his mistakes. And that makes him, to me, so much more relatable, so much more real, so much more well-formed and three-dimensional, that he and his interpretation, Rian's interpretation of Luke Skywalker and the character Luke Skywalker, really make the movie so much better because of that, because we see that heroes can be imperfect and that their imperfections make them feel so self-conscious that they shun the world, and that's clearly not the solution. And I absolutely love that turn. And I love the fact that Mark Hamill has come out to say that he was wrong to openly express his concern, because ultimately the movie that was made, the movie that Rian put together with that deeply flawed Luke Skywalker, is so much better than any of the other Star Wars movies that have come out, because it introduces those flaws and those characteristics that makes the relatable characters so much more so, and that it makes the heroes these things, these characters that aren't always perfect, that don't always make the right decision. And that's just, it's one of the big things that once I got past that initial viewing, was really able to sink my teeth in, and that I absolutely love about this movie.
All right, let's talk about Snoke, shall we? I didn't really like him in the original The Force Awakens, and I am glad that we only got to see him for a couple of minutes in this movie, because, oh my god, what a better way to set up Kylo Ren as the true menacing factor of this movie than by having him taken out like a chump. Snoke is so blinded by his own ambitions and his own belief that he is so powerful that he can't see his own apprentice turning against him. I mean, literally thinks that what he is seeing is Kylo getting ready to take out Rey instead of him. It was brilliant. I loved it. And you know what? I don't care that we didn't get to find out about the backstory of Snoke. Who cares? Leave that for the comic books or the extended novels. In this movie was long enough as it is. We don't need to burden it down with finding out who Snoke was and where he came from, and just forget it. Let Snoke die, okay? We'll find out about him in the comic books. I for one, I'm glad Kylo Ren just took him out. Get him out of here. He's muddying up the story anyways. Let's talk about Kylo Ren. And right away, can we put this whole notion that Kylo is a whiny little emo kid, and let's just throw that right out, okay? Because if this movie has showed us anything, is that Kylo is not only the most powerful, one of the most powerful Force users we've ever seen, but he is much more menacing than any of the Star Wars villains we have ever seen. Hear me out on this one, okay? We start with Kylo both showing physical as well as emotional scars from what has just happened at the end of The Force Awakens, okay? This movie starts almost minutes after the end of that movie. And in it, we get to see Kylo Ren coming to the realization that he doesn't need anybody. Now, this connection with Rey will, I'm sure, be explored to death and analyzed to death, but he is taunted by his emperor, by Snoke, and halfway through this movie, less than halfway through the movie, we see him just completely dispatch away with him. So there is no one that holds dominion over Kylo. Emotionally, we can argue that Rey maybe holds some influence in there, and there's still the lingering influence that Leia will have over Kylo. But Kylo no longer answers to anybody. He is now in full control of the First Order, and he is menacing. He is angry, full of rage, all of the things that make a really good Sith a really good Sith. He has surpassed his grandfather in that he actually dispatched his master. Darth Vader always answered to the Emperor. He never got away from the Emperor's oppressive thumb, as it were. He did. Kylo completely does away with Snoke in what I believe is the real meaning of that line that we hear in the trailer and that we hear, of course, in the movie, in which he tells Rey to forget about the past, destroy it if you have to. He's not just talking about his family. He's talking about Snoke. He's talking about the people that have controlled him up to that point. He now makes the decisions. Yes, I'm sure that he will be steered by the First Order machinery, by the chain of command, as it were, but he is 100% the most powerful person in this galaxy because he commands himself, the Force, in ways that we've not ever seen before, and he commands what I believe to be one of the most menacing things we have seen in the Star Wars universe ever. Here we are back on the Millennium Falcon, and if you can't tell from the way I speak about this movie, I really did like it. It took me a couple of times to see it. It took me some real soul-searching time to kind of dig up what I really liked about it, why I liked it, and to understand, because this is not like any other Star Wars movie we have seen in the universe. This movie has a lot of layers and a lot of depth, and it has a lot of unlikable characters, which sometimes hangs people up because you don't like what the character is doing, you don't like what they're saying, and you start hating on the character when that's the point of the character, and that's the point is to hate on that character, or to understand that that character is terrible for a reason. And I think there are a lot of things that happen in this movie for a reason that the fans are hating on, just based on their reactions and emotions towards specific characters. So please hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell right next to it if you want to be notified of the new episodes coming up. And hit that like button if you like this kind of video. And please, on the comments down below, let me know what you thought of the movie. And let's start a conversation there of what you felt about The Last Jedi. One of my favorite things is talking about Star Wars, if you can't tell, and really discussing in depth how people feel about it. Because in a movie like this, with so much emotional punch to it and so many layers, it's bound to happen that you're going to find something that you liked that I didn't, and vice versa. And I want that conversation to continue. But also stay tuned to this channel, because there's going to be so much more happening this year on the channel. We have lots of plans, and by we I mean me, on things that we're going to do. We've got a creative story that we're going to write and then shoot, a narrative, very much like I used to. Hey, filmmaking, and lots of movies that have been deeply impactful to me that I want to talk about, and things that have inspired me, and in all, things that hopefully you will see me do that will inspire you to just go out and have a much needed, much better 2018 than 2017 seemingly was to all of us. So stay tuned, lots of stuff coming, and until then, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if you're a Star Wars fan and want to see what my experiences were like during the last Star Wars convention, click and watch the video right here.